In the ancient days, people would take a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, or in the Islamic tradition, to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, and it was a requirement in their life if they were Islamic. So what the labyrinth itself is about is sort of taking a symbolic journey or meditation into the deeper part of the self, and change and cleansing and purification as you're going in, and then as we walk out, we're like putting on our new skin and taking the future into our hands.
Where are we going today?
We haven't decided for sure, but we do have caves. We're wanting to start underground. There are ancient caves that are about 6 kilometers from Chichen Itza, and they were a sacred place where cultures have been bringing their gifts and their art for centuries and centuries.
This is where the story of creation began. This is where the tree of life descends, and for us to go, we're returning to our origin. We're returning to our roots, literally. And we're going to give offerings to our ancestors and to the dead. We can bring sage and tobacco to cleanse ourselves, and we can bring fruits to give to the gods. The gods are very hungry, and if we do not feed them, then they feed upon us through our addictions and patterns and cycles. And so allow us to give freely today to those who are still present before we begin our journey, and to ask blessings upon this project so it will fuel and unite the people so that we can do what it is that we are here to do.
I was reading also a book at the time it's called the Underground Atlas, and it marked out all the cave structures throughout the world that had been explored. And what I noticed is that all the caves within Mesoamerica and the pyramid structures were all linked. They all have these underground passages that link between all the different pyramids. It's a great idea to go to the caves today because kind of returning to the womb, back to cleanse ourselves in the cenote before we begin our journey. Usually caves are associated with underground waterways and carry a lot of energy, vibration.
The Mayans in the Mayan long count, they're saying this date, the 12/21/12, and other people around the world are saying almost the same dates. I believe the Druids are saying the beginning of the New World is around in February 2013. That's pretty close. All these native people are coming out with their knowledge and they're sharing it.
And you know, we see that also with the Incas and the Anasazis and so many other different cultures, how they were connected to the great vast universe that we no longer in our modern day society embrace in this way.
flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea.
This is an opportunity for people to reconsider what the whole Yucatan and Central America is about in terms of the energy of the heart. So there are 7 or 8 different locations that he and Ken went to, and they planted crystals in each of the different sites, and each of them represented a different chakra point in the body of the Yucatan. And so part of what we're doing is revisiting these same sites and doing our own bringing of our energy of light to them, and other places as well, because we've really determined to do 13 ceremonies in our 20-day visit here.
As 2012 is quite significant, the end of an age, to begin is 2013. And 2013 is the entire frequency of the Maya. And the Maya believed that the creator was a mathematician. Everything is broken down into frequency and harmony. And so once we enter into 2013, we are on this harmonic convergence of sort with the entire, one would say in Latin, the anima mundi, or if you're Jose Arguelles, you would call it the noosphere. It's the collective consciousness. And this is what we're embarking on into this new frequency of 2013.
The Pleiades, the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon are all in alignment tonight. So we want to particularly notice our being here as a time to welcome the energy of Quetzalcoatl, which is the energy of love, the energy of the feminine, re-entering and revisiting that this time when we're waiting for the shift to occur. We as human beings are already aligning ourselves with this kind of a shift of putting an end to war, putting an end to aggressiveness on part of our different countries, and ownership of oil and the gems of the earth, and the whole concept of power over.
As the Great Spirit said, we shall place the truth inside of their heart, for there they shall never look. And until now, truth has been hidden from us because our eyes were not opened. And now we go deep within ourselves, within our soul, outside of our own desires, to assist in this transformation, in this galactic activation.
When we noticed she had one of the crystal skulls, it was like, wow, we had just read about it like the year before in the Serpent of Light. So for actually one of those skulls to be there was quite amazing.
Oh, Mother, Source, Nature, Mind, isn't it wonderful? Oh,
she was actually going around the circle, person to person, holding the crystal skull up first to their third eye and then to their hearts. And then when she got to me, she put it to my forehead, and it was like a tremendous amount of light, and then to my heart. And then she went straight down to my belly, and I was like, wow, and I really felt it. And then she kept going, and then I looked at Ty, I was like, after, did you tell her that I was pregnant? And he was like, no, nobody, she just like knew. It was really amazing.
Ahorita. Acá está la entrada. Ahorita. Entrada, sí. ¿Es posible?
Well, now we are entering into Mayapan. Mayapan was considered to be the suburbs of Chichen Itza. And it was the last teachings of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, the same teachings as Christ consciousness or Krishna through the Hindus. It's the same story that's being retold here.
When he was here, he did everything he could to shift the concept of sacrificial heart ceremony to making it symbolic rather than actually physical, so that that energy is trying to awaken in us the possibility of being more human in our response to each other and our response to the earth and the planet. When he returns to earth, it's very much like the concept of Christ returning to earth. To once again, to collectively bring the people together, to unify them and synchronize them around compassion and around love. The mantra is O Yum, and Yum is mother. I think sometimes of like Yum, the mother breastfeeding her child. O Yum, and then Hunab Ku, which is the name that's given to the divine matrix of source of all movement and measure, which is everywhere at once. O Yum, Hunab Ku, and then Avam. And Avam is everything that's around us, everything inclusive of the beauty of the universe, I guess you'd say. Avam is like, everything that's natural. And then Maya is the fourth element, and Maya is mind. And then the last part, he gives us the little phrase, Emaho. And A-E-H, Ma, M-A-H-O, Emaho, means, isn't it spectacular? Isn't it just wonderful? So you're saying, oh, Mother, Source, Nature, Mind. Isn't it great? Something about the Mayan calendar that, to me, there really is more than connected to our planet and our connection to the sun. It feels like, to me, like it comes from somewhere else. It seems to be beyond separation, and it brings together all of the archetypes of the planet. It brings together frequency, vibration, all the new information that's coming through our sciences right now. When you look at it, you realize that the Maya were there all along, and we're just kind of rediscovering and re-entering a real sacred way of looking at life.
To me, 2012 sort of represents a lot of change and a lot of shifting is happening all over the world. And we get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. Just opening your consciousness and listening to those synchronicities and all these magical things that are happening all the time.
I feel like now we're living in that critical time where we have to change. We have to slow down. And yeah, we're still living in the same war machine that's been churning for the last, almost century now. Young man, listen to my plan. Gonna make you money, gonna make you a man. Bam, bam. I feel like the children that have grown up, in this information age are all too aware that it's not sustainable and it's not practical, and it turns the world into a scary place when you have to fight. One's nothing like Vietnam, except for the bullets, except for the bombs, except for the youth that's gone, so we keep it on.
During this time, we have decided to align the chakras and to live life as life is to be lived, as a ceremony. If we're standing, we can feel the root connecting us physically and grounding us as a portal to the Mother Earth.
I don't see 2012 in any sense as being a doomsday event. I see it as being an opportunity for a collective response to the problems that we're facing, a response that comes from the heart that allows us to live more authentically and more lovingly. We can't keep looking to elected officials or even necessarily to great spiritual individuals. I think the real solution lies with an inward introspection, a realization of our own power.
just pole dance real quick and finish it off.
Circular and finito.
He says, what's the point of me tying her if we're going to do it anyway?
Can we all hold hands? Let's close this.
Are we not to even hold hands and do a circle?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the
Let's just hold hands and do this.
Just a group of
Rafiq,
Vamos a terminar.
let us be strong and courageous. When ceremony is illegal, let us awaken and remember we are here. Holding our center, connected to the center.
Sadly enough, the government really has taken over all of these sites, and there are lots of rules there. So we were very cautious, and every time we had a ceremony to do, we would go off in a quiet place, and we got into trouble a couple times, but each time it seemed to work its way out.
Traveled into the energy of the sacral chakra, the creative, the sexuality, the sensitivity.
I felt as if by coming, that I could represent the grandmothers, because it's so important that as elders we collect these experiences to share with children. I'm a teacher. I've been working with children for almost 50 years, and having experiences with nature and with spirit to share with children can only enrich their lives and the possibilities for their future.
Who said that?
Oh, nice bird.
That yellow.
This meditation is for compassion. Compassion for ourselves, compassion for others, so that we may have an acceptance of where we are personally and where others are on their journey. And to have kindness in our hearts. Guru, Guru, Wahe. Guru, Guru, Ramdas, Guru.
Guru, Guru, Wahe, Guru, Guru, Ramdas, Guru.
Guru, Guru, Wahe, Guru, Guru, Ramdas, Guru. Guru, Guru, Wahe, Guru, Guru, Ramdas, Guru.
Saksi Pashawama Tanjlatamat Katushawa Akshebola Chichini
We're expecting a child too, Vanessa and I can only imagine that our little being is decided to come right now, just before this great shift, so that it can be here to witness it.
This baby chose to come now, and to come in this year where there's, so many things are happening and changing so quickly. I feel that this child obviously is going to be like my teacher in many ways.
Abrázame a tu corazón y no me dejes ir, no.
I retired from a ministerial position I had in an interfaith church, and interfaith church is one that celebrates all of the spiritual paths on the planet. It's not just like interdenominational and it's being Christian, but it embraces Buddhism and Hinduism and Judaism and Christianity and earth religions and Native American spirituality also. Was a part of that, and retired from that so that I could begin to work even more intensely on this calendar and this unification concept that seemed to be so compelling for me.
Abrázame a tu corazón y no me dejes ir, no. Cuando me busques ahí estaré, serás mi luna y en cada una de mis noches a ti cantaré.
Time is really the realm of the mind, and the more we can, if we could, synchronize ourselves around the concept of time and the mystery of it, that would perhaps bring our minds into more balance, and we would be able to coordinate our concepts of peace and of harmony and love, and we would be able to see everything as sort of cosmic or holistic.
I knew at that point, a year and a half ago, the beginning of 2011, I had to wake up very consciously. And it was no more kind of looking at this or kind of looking at that. And because I asked for it, it showed up. And I went to Thailand and started going through Reiki training, was immediately put into hospitals, mental asylums, working with animals, feeling energy starting to come back up that wasn't correct, feeling energy that was correct, connecting with the people in Chiang Mai and the Healing Light Center, working with an incredible healer over there that just helped me open so much. It's peeling back the onion of who you are and becoming more truly who you are. We're part of a collective consciousness, and as we come together and come into the light, we can change things.
You know, I go through times in my life when I have my daily practice and I really feel connected to the universe. And I have my times when I just kind of do my day-to-day living, and I have happy days, but they could be much richer if I chose to begin them in a meditative way. So I felt like coming on this journey would once again bring me closer to my full spiritual resources.
We have a ceremonial cacao drink that the Mayan priests and priestesses used to share in ceremony. And so I will pass this if we will each share a small amount. Represents you. And so your prayers will be placed in the candle when lit. And that flame will go to the internal flame, to our ancestors, so that the gods may hear your prayers and your intentions. We will not blow that candle out. We will allow the wind to carry our prayers to the heavens.
I was here for a night, and then I was just sitting on the stairs over where on the camping platform, and I see you guys walk up. I'm like, I think I know them. Like, hey, I know them. There, and it was crazy. Like, he led you right. The Carlos, the owner here, led you right to that platform, and I thought that was crazy.
Any thoughts on the idea of the cosmic shift? What 2012 is all about?
For me, it's like it's a real human-based thing, like about how we are all together and realizing that we are all humans and we should work together, and there's no sort of like, there's no borders between us, no separation between all of us, and we're all just one kind of thought, one consciousness. And I hope people will realize that, because I feel like that would bring about a much better just time in humanity.
If we constantly keep giving, then we're not stopping the energy flow. Only until we try to dam or hoard do we feel that we're separate. We're all united. We're all sitting in the same circle. We're all praying to the same source.
And yet we live in a culture that says take, take. So what does that produce?
Greed.
Greed and lack. If to give is to receive, to take is to never have enough. And that, I think, is probably at the heart of where the Western world has gone wrong. Go out and give. Give.
Everything.
Give. Until your heart is so wide open. And then the flood, the rush of the abundance comes flowing in, and that's the moment of awakening. That's the aha. I never have to fall back into the old paradigm of take. There's not enough.
It's going to be interesting to see what the theme of generosity creates in these last days before 2012.
I think the people in Japan were an amazing display of when everything goes down, working together. Bringing everything down brought down the class system, and everybody just seemed to be working together. And maybe that's why the disasters may or may not come, but maybe that's what they're for, to bring us back down to where we are just who we are.
Spirit, come to me, teach me how to see. You know who I am, so
we climb on the temple, all this mountain. It's a temple, yes. Remember, here in the jungle, there are 1,082 temples, yes. All this town is temple.
So here we are at the Temple of the Jaguar, which faces the south. And these are 13 prayer ties that were made by us last night, and we're going to place them inside.
Spirit, come to me, teach me how to see. You know who I am, so
The name is Yatmacho. Yatmacho, yes, in Maya. In my village, they use in the table for the mosquitoes, and the mosquitoes, hey, you know, yes. And the Maya possible they use for the rest of the street for the estoko, just for the mix, just for the wall, the temple, yes, this Yatmacho. They use the Maya for the ball game, and the ball is the caucho. And the winner was sacrificed. Why? Remember, the death for the Maya is a finish of the life. It's a start for the other new life. It's an underworld. The name is Xibalba. Xibalba means place of the trees. Yes? No, it's a finish of the life. It's a start for the other new life. It's better than first.
Yesterday when we were hiking through the jungle, I had a moment where I just started listening to the orchestra of the jungle and of nature, and it's this crazy symphony that's going on. And if we just listen to what's going on, we can learn a lot from our environment and from nature.
Oh my good God.
The smoke everywhere, the people, there are burned the trees and fell it, and for the sow, the corn, the beans, yes. Maya means corn children, yes, because the Maya belief tells us that we were born of corn, and we made with corn dough, yes.
The message of Palenque called to us to understand and to listen to the divine harmony that exists in the perfection of silence, the depth of the orchestra, of the symphony, of the animals, of the birds, of the crickets, of the wind, of the trees, the music that is constantly around us. If only we sit in silence and listen And if we choose to break the perfection, the harmonic vibration that exists naturally, allow us to speak with truth, to speak with depth, with sincerity and compassion and love for ourselves and others.
It's really humbling to see people living in such a way and still so happy. And, you know, like these kids are growing up playing with nature. Their backyard is their playground.
We'll after. As long as we know we're going to get back here. So we meet there.
So that would be the day 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 days.
Years ago, I lived in Oaxaca, and I went to the pyramids of Multialban, and this old man came up to me. I was right at the top of the highest pyramid there, and this old man came up to me, offering me some antiquities. He had this jade vase, and I didn't know what to make of it. He was asking very little for it, so I purchased it. Anyway, what I discovered was that the Druids and the Celts and the Chinese were using these same vases at the same period in history at the same time for the same purpose, and they had very similar design. What they had used the vase for, that particular style of vase, was to go in caverns, like underneath pyramid sites and in caves, to hold ceremony, and they'd put candles inside the jade vase and it would glow light, but they didn't have any direct light. It was just this diffused light coming through the jade and through the crystal. The long and the short of it is that those pieces sent me on a journey to explore ancient civilizations and cultures all over the world.
Last year of my teaching, because I did shift at that point, I had 2 South American children, women, girls, in my classroom, Marcela and Nerio. And they were the children of a medicine woman in Colombia. And so when they were in my classroom, they began to show me the deep mystery of the spiritual nature of life. I would see things as coincidences, and they would say, "No, Mr. Kalb, no, look, the sun is parting right now, and we are just releasing the butterfly. This is God's message to us that we're doing a good thing." And I was like, And little bit by little bit, these 2 young children, 8 years old, were beginning to open my eyes to the fact that that there was a nature to life that was, when I was, quote, calling things synchronistic or a coincidence, I was not respecting the fact that there is a magical connection to things that are going on in our world. So here I was in the ministry, 8 years in teaching, and now I was having like a spiritual, what we would call a spiritual awakening. It was guided by these 2 8-year-old children, and I was beginning to see the magic all around me. And that Christ was not just someone who lived 2,000 years ago. Buddha was not just someone who lived 2,500 years ago. Confucius, Moses, all these people who were the magicians, in a sense, of their sacred path, I was beginning to see that they were connected to something that I was connected to too, and that Marcella was connected to, and everybody's connected to, if we just acknowledge it.
Leaving the fourth dimension of the physical, of where we live only connected to the earth beings, and we begin to accept the celestial energies that are present. That we understand that we are spiritual beings here on planet Earth to experience what it is to be human.
They were all coming with special concerns. Like I heard one woman speaking about concern about her missing nephew, so for healing purposes, for themselves or for others. He was now expressing at the end of the ceremony what he had seen of kind of within each woman, and was sharing about that, and they're also sharing of what they felt in the ceremony and if they had any visions of their concerns or any kind of insight on it.
We look at the pyramids in Egypt, we look at Cambodia and Laos, and the rich temples there, India, China, ancient China, and always we see so many similarities, and it means that we are truly linked together. It has to be.
I was on a fast years ago, and the woman that was fasting me, she's a spiritual faster. When I started the fast, she gave me a book called The Keys of Enoch, and she said, whenever you feel the need, just open the book. And during those 18 days that I fasted, every time I opened the book, it would go to the same section, and it was always the section of the Maya. And it talked about this dove that was overlaid over top of this map, and the dove encompassed all the pyramids here within the Yucatan. And Well, because I was already drawn to that, and it talked about this family of light, you know, that we needed to congregate here in the end of times, or the changing of times, I guess you'd call it. I guess it always stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Aquí es su color. Si se jalan así, mira. Sí.
Es algo descriptivo.
We saw a slab of what's called a stela, a grand stone that had a carving of the king on it. It was 7 meters tall, and it wasn't any more than like 5 or 6 inches thick. One slab of stone standing there. And at one point it was like tumbled upon itself, and probably in 7 or 8 pieces, and covered with a jungle. And as the excavation started, and someone scraping away at something and finding pieces, and another piece and another piece, and then realizing as they laid it on the ground what it was, and then to stand it up for us to see and realize that it was the center of that plaza, of that area. It's like, wow. Every person that had a part in that creation must have felt like they were experiencing what it was to be an expression of God in that moment. We have so separated our spirituality from our material world that, you know, an hour in synagogue or at the mosque or at the church or whatever it is on a Sunday or Saturday or whatever day is our way of practicing, quote, our religion, or maybe fasting for a certain number of days was our way of practicing our religion. What I see when I walk these sacred lands of the Maya, what I see is I feel like I see a people whose spirituality was what their life was.
The very direction that they faced their pyramids, their public places, their religious places, it's all mapped out with places that reach toward the heavens, with observatories to study the stars. They were brilliant.
This site is actually the oldest in the area. It's called Bakan. It was constructed around 600 BC and was kind of like the hub of the area.
The most difficult journey that a human needs to make is the short one. It's like 15 inches or so, and it's like the distance between the brain and the heart. It's the most difficult journey that we make, and we need to definitely get into our heart space. And our whole journey, this whole 2 weeks so far, this is our 13th day, has been a journey of the heart, trying to get deeper into our intuition. Sacred vision that we have, and believing in the future, using our imaginations, using our creative thinking to continue to put forth the ideas of what a world under a feminine energy of the heart could be about, and how each of us can participate in creating that.
At the end of our Reiki training, different messages were coming to me, and one was, you need to know the shadow side as well. I knew there were evil corporations. I definitely knew that. But that there might be some sort of coordination to that, I had no idea. We've had so many people teach us that there's free energy, but the corporate side says, oh no, we have to tear up our Mother Earth and sell you gas. And it's like, oh no you don't. There's something going on, but in my journey, what I believe is we're stronger than they are. And when we start waking up and aligning with our chakras, with our body work, they may seem woo-woo to some people, but it's really who we are. We are all healers. We don't need to be sold all this medicine, all these things. It's just craziness.
Participated a lot, back in the 80s and the 90s and even into the new millennium, in peace rallies in Washington, D.C. and, writing letters to congressmen and all this, trying to make peace or trying to end, nuclear proliferation around the world. All of the things that I thought were destroying human relationships and the planet. I thought, we have to fight it. We have to fight it. We have to fight it. And then I get to the point where I realize, if you're fighting something, it's going to fight back. And all you're doing with that kind of energy is just escalating the disparity or the difference between two different models or two different ideas. So I began to think that creating a more positive approach to life and to the everyday experience, that would be probably much more powerful than carrying a banner up and down the boulevards in Washington, D.C. with 200,000 other people. It didn't seem to be making much of a difference.
We can only make progress and evoke change by continuing to have positive attitudes, by developing personal relationships with people, by exposing ourselves to other cultures, to other ways of doing things, to inclusiveness and diversity.
Escucha la vida que canta su nombre.
Increíble, increíble.
En fuego despierta el anhelo.
Slowly Uno became a place where the game we were playing here was synchronicity. So the experiment was as well in many ways connected with that. It's like a space where we are experimenting magic as synchronicity. In a way, the place itself, my heart, the planet Earth, we're calling to create here something like a place so open to receive people with so many lifestyles, and so they could connect in a space, in the same space, and they could have so many things to learn from each other. We all have comfort zones. We all have comfort zones to break, and there is a very brilliant and very shining world expecting us on the other side of the comfort zone. Sometimes it just needs a little, like initial effort.
Krishna, 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 Krishna.
Probably the greatest teaching from these times is unity, that we are one. So for everyone who's waking up, just stick to that. Try to stick to that sense of unity, and so from unity we realize who we are. From unity we realize what we want to create. With the unity we realize how we can relate with others, in what way. Knowing that we are one, we become very respectful, we become very humble, and becoming one, becoming fully in all our beings one, we have limitless possibilities of creation, of joy, of harmony, of peace.
That our unity will one day be restored, and don't know we are family by our love, by our love, and don't know we are family by our love.
Humanity has attempted changes and shifts before, trying to fix something outside of us. You know, communism, for example, socialism, the shift needs to happen within first, I think. And once it happens within, then that will manifest in the outside, in the physical realm, in the material world, in the three-dimensional world automatically.
You know, coming to the awareness that we need each other to evolve. It's like humanity, we can't do it alone. We need that synergy. We need that we are each a catalyst for each other's evolution, and we couldn't do it without each other.
We have drifted from our mother. We have become disconnected from ourselves in a way by being disconnected from nature, from Pachamama, from what we are.
It's a moment where we can collectively shift the paradigm and shift the conversation towards beauty, love, respect, humility.
Living life as art with maximum enthusiasm, maximum creative passion, harmony, peace, grace, wisdom, understanding, and so on. We're talking about a mature human race.
And don't know we are family by our love, by our love. And don't know we are family by our love.
I encourage people to go adventuring and take risks and get in touch with Mother Earth, sleep on the ground again. It's beautiful.
For some reason, that would be where I think the others. It's seen through the veil, and the veil is lifting right now. And to me, that's what 2012 is all about, is we have been sold the lies, and we can sit there and look at our cell phones and text each other forever, or we could have conscious conversation.
Hopefully a start of higher way of living, in the sense of more aware and more conscious of each other and of our Mother Earth.
If we really are engaged and pay attention, there is magic happening all around us.
We pray together as one. One voice, one calling, one dream, one experience.
The important thing is to believe. And whatever you do, I believe the universe will support you in your believing. If it's Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, whatever, get with it and believe it and work with it, because it's all for good. All the paths, lead to the same destiny and destination. Oh, Mother Source, nature mind, isn't it wonderful? Oh, young Hunaku, even Maya Imaho. Oh, young Hunaku, even Maya Imaho. Oh, young. It's an event that occurs only every 130 years. And then when it happens in pairs. So that it happened back in the year 2004 on the 8th of June, and now it's happening again on June 5th this year. And according to studies of it, it has always ushered in a golden age. New kinds of things happen. For instance, the last time it happened, the transatlantic cable was laid. It ushers in a time of increased communication and a connection between people, and it offers us an opportunity to see what love, which is what Venus is all about, what kind of power it could have in the lives of people on the planet.
Awake humanity. This is the time you was waiting for that. I don't know how many lives we've been in this samsara and the wheel of reincarnation in preparation for these days, for the job that we have to be doing in these years. Are we ready? You have one piece of the Father inside of you, and your heart. It's time to awake. It's time to awake your whole being and be as one. Be together. Love each other. Sing, dance. Pray. Everything.
The story of the Native Americans in the North says that the great creator created 4 civilizations, the 4 colors representing the 4 directions, and told them to walk in the same direction and to keep walking. And so they populated the earth with this particular wisdom. And 2012, it's the return of the sacred hoop. So these 4 civilizations that were sent out are now returning to the center, just as we, the planet Earth, is returning to the galactic center.
If this film could inspire people to do anything, it's not necessarily to drop out, not to turn their back on the culture that we've created, but to take the best of it and start to build something new, start to build something different, start to build something authentic.
Ipanema